Imagine a world where motion is impossible, where an arrow in flight never truly moves, and where the fastest runner can never catch a tortoise. Sounds absurd, right? Yet over 2,000 years ago, one man dared to challenge common sense with puzzles so strange, they continue to baffle philosophers and mathematicians to this very day. His name was Zeno of Elea, and his paradoxes shook the very foundations of philosophy. Zeno of Elea, born around 490 BC in southern Italy, wasn't just another philosopher. He was a student and devoted follower of Parmenides, the thinker who boldly declared that change and motion are illusions. To defend his teacher's radical ideas, Zeno devised clever arguments, paradoxes, that would puzzle humanity for millennia. Let's journey into the strange and fascinating world of Zeno's paradoxes. Zeno grew up in the ancient Greek colony of Elea, a small town, but one that produced some of the sharpest philosophical minds. Unlike philosophers who wrote grand treatises, Zeno's contribution came in the form of logical puzzles. His goal, to silence critics of Parmenides by showing that their everyday belief in motion and plurality, the idea that reality is made of many things, led to contradictions. If motion and change lead to absurdity, then maybe Parmenides was right. Reality is one, unchanging, and eternal. Zeno's paradoxes are some of the most famous in philosophy. Let's explore a few of his most mind-bending puzzles. First, the Dichotomy Paradox. Imagine you want to walk across a room. Simple, right? But Zeno argued otherwise. To get to the other side, you must first walk halfway, then you must cover half of the remaining distance, then half of that distance, and so on endlessly. Each step gets smaller and smaller, but the sequence never ends. So how could you ever reach the other side if you must complete an infinite number of steps? According to Zeno, motion is an illusion. Next comes the most famous of all, Achilles and the tortoise. Imagine the great hero Achilles racing a tortoise. Out of kindness, he gives the tortoise a head start. Zeno claimed that Achilles could never catch up. Why? Because every time Achilles reaches the spot where the tortoise was, the tortoise has already moved a little further ahead. Achilles may run fast, but the tortoise will always be just a step in front. In this strange logic, the swift can never overtake the slow. Now picture an arrow flying through the air. Common sense tells us it is moving, but Zeno argued otherwise. At every single instant of time, the arrow simply occupies one position in space. It is motionless in that frozen moment. If at every instant the arrow is at rest, how can motion ever exist? For Zeno, motion is nothing more than an illusion created by the mind. And then there's the stadium paradox. Imagine rows of bodies moving past each other in opposite directions. Zeno argued that depending on how you measure their motion, contradictions arise about time and speed. It was yet another attack on the very idea of motion. Zeno wasn't trying to trick people for fun. His paradoxes were weapons in a philosophical battle. They forced people to question the foundations of reality, time, and infinity. By showing that motion and plurality led to absurd conclusions, he defended Parmenides, claimed that reality must be one, indivisible, and unchanging. But here's the twist. Zeno's paradoxes weren't just clever tricks, they sparked centuries of debate. Great minds like Aristotle and later, mathematicians in the modern era wrestled with them. In fact, it wasn't until the invention of calculus in the 17th century by Newton and Leibniz that we began to find mathematical solutions. Calculus showed that an infinite series of steps can indeed sum to a finite distance. Yet even today, Zeno's paradoxes raise deep questions about infinity, time, and the very nature of reality. Zeno of Elea may have lived over 2,000 years ago, but his paradoxes remain alive. They challenge us to think beyond the obvious, to question what we take for granted, and to confront the mysteries of motion, time, and infinity. Perhaps that is Zeno's greatest gift, not the answers, but the questions that never die. If you enjoyed this journey into the mind of Zeno, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Together, let's continue exploring the forgotten geniuses and timeless puzzles that shape the world of philosophy and mathematics.